Officer Roberts stood by the car, his hand hovering near his holstered weapon. "Ma'am, step out of the car now," he barked, his voice sharp and commanding. The petite woman in the driver's seat of the sleek black SUV raised her eyebrows, visibly unimpressed. "And why exactly am I stepping out of the car?" she asked, her tone steady but firm. Roberts scowled, his grip tightening on his belt. "License and registration don't match this car," he said. "Looks too nice, seems stolen to me." The woman sighed, reaching into her blazer pocket deliberately. "You might want to rethink your tone," she said as she pulled out her badge. "I'm Special Agent Alicia Carter, Head of Internal Affairs. And you, Officer Roberts, are about 2 seconds away from making a very serious mistake." Roberts' face went pale. He stepped back, his bravado crumbling under the weight of her words. "Wait, what?" he stammered. Alicia's expression didn't waver. "Did you just racially profile me?" she asked, her voice laced with ice. Before Roberts could respond, a second police car pulled up. Sergeant Taylor stepped out and surveyed the scene. Recognizing Alicia immediately, his expression turned grim. "Agent Carter," he said, nodding curtly. "What seems to be the problem here?" "Your officer here decided my car was too nice for someone like me," Alicia replied, her voice steady but loaded with accusation. "Would you care to explain why?" Taylor's gaze shifted to Roberts, who was visibly floundering. I thought," Roberts began, but Taylor cut him off. "Enough. My office. Now." Roberts hesitated before retreating to his car, his head hanging low. Taylor turned back to Alicia. "I apologize for this, Agent Carter," he said. "I'll handle it personally." Alicia folded her arms. "You'd better," she said, her tone leaving no room for argument. "And don't think I won't follow up." Earlier that morning, Alicia had wrapped up a meeting at the Internal Affairs office in downtown Chicago. As head of the department, she was no stranger to corruption cases, but the latest string of complaints about excessive force weighed heavily on her. Deciding she needed a break, she left the office for lunch. Sliding into her SUV, she set her sights on her favorite fried chicken spot. The short drive through the suburban neighborhood was supposed to be a reprieve from her work. Instead, it had led to this confrontation. As Alicia drove away from the scene, her mind raced. Robert's actions weren't isolated. They were part of a larger pattern she'd seen time and again. She decided to follow her instincts and headed toward the nearby park mentioned in the radio chatter she'd overheard. At the park, Alicia spotted Robert's squad car parked near the entrance. A group of teenagers, mostly black and Hispanic, stood near the basketball court, their animated conversation interrupted by Robert's presence. The officer loomed over them, one hand on his hip, the other gesturing aggressively. Alicia's heart sank. She knew exactly where this was heading. "Hey," Alicia called out, approaching briskly. "What's going on here?" Roberts turned, his face hardening. "This doesn't concern you," he snapped. Alicia pulled out her badge. "Oh, I think it does." The teens exchanged surprised glances, unsure who she was, but clearly relieved someone had intervened. Robert's expression darkened. "Agent Carter, I'm handling a situation here. I suggest you leave." "Handling it?" Alicia repeated, her voice sharp. "By yelling at kids? What's the problem?" "This one," Roberts said, pointing at a tall boy in a red hoodie, "was causing a disturbance, playing loud music, harassing park visitors." "That's a lie," the boy interrupted. "We were just playing basketball. He rolled up and started yelling at us." "Enough," Alicia said, stepping between Roberts and the teens. She addressed the boy directly. "What's your name?" "Marcus," he replied, his defiance giving way to uncertainty. "Marcus, were you causing trouble?" Alicia asked calmly. "No, ma'am," Marcus said, shaking his head. "We were just hanging out." Alicia turned to the other teens. "Is that true?" They nodded, chiming in with agreement. Alicia faced Roberts. "Sounds like you don't have much of a case here, officer." Roberts clenched his jaw. "I was responding to a complaint." "From who? Where's the complainant?" Alicia pressed. Roberts hesitated. glancing around the park. They must have left, he muttered. How convenient. Alicia said dryly. You've got no evidence, no witnesses, and yet you're out here intimidating kids. Does that sound like proper procedure to you? Roberts didn't respond. Alicia turned back to the teens. Go on. Get back to your game. You're not in trouble. The teens murmured their thanks and returned to the court, casting wary looks at Roberts as they passed. Alicia's voice dropped as she addressed him. We're done here. I'll be reporting this. That evening, Alicia sat at her desk, reviewing Roberts' record. What she found didn't surprise her. Multiple complaints of misconduct, all mysteriously dropped or dismissed. She also discovered connections to Sergeant Taylor, who had a similarly questionable history. Alicia's stomach tightened. This wasn't just about Roberts. It was systemic. Her phone buzzed, breaking her concentration. It was Detective Sarah Lopez, a trusted colleague. Alicia, Sarah said urgently, I just got a tip. Roberts is part of a larger cover-up, and Taylor's involved. Complaints are being buried, and minorities are being targeted in certain neighborhoods. Alicia's grip tightened on her phone. How far up does this go? Hard to say, Sarah replied. But Taylor is definitely protecting Roberts. And get this, Roberts has a disciplinary hearing next month. But Taylor's already working to make it disappear. Alicia's jaw clenched. Thanks, Sarah. I'll take it from here. The next morning, Alicia briefed her team. We need concrete evidence, she said. Pull every complaint, every report, every piece of body cam footage tied to Roberts and Taylor, and keep it quiet. Her team nodded and got to work. By midday, they uncovered a crucial lead, a series of emails between Taylor and a city official discussing how to suppress complaints against Roberts. The emails included explicit instructions on manipulating disciplinary records. That evening, Alicia's phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Watch your back, it read. You're making powerful enemies. Alicia's stomach churned, but she refused to be intimidated. Instead, it fueled her determination. She knew she was on the right track and wouldn't stop until justice was served. The following day, armed with evidence, Alicia confronted the precinct's chief. This isn't just about Roberts, she said, laying the emails on his desk. Taylor's involved, and it goes higher than him. We need to act now. The chief's expression darkened as he reviewed the evidence. This could bring down the whole precinct, he said. Good, Alicia replied. Because if we don't clean this up, it'll destroy the department from the inside out. The chief sighed but nodded. You have my support. Over the next week, Alicia's investigation led to the suspension of Roberts, Taylor, and several other officers implicated in the emails. Protests erupted, demanding accountability and systemic reform. Alicia watched from her office, knowing the fight was far from over. But for the first time, she felt a glimmer of hope. Late one evening, as Alicia prepared to leave the office, she found a note taped to her car. We warned you, it read. She scanned the parking lot, but saw no one. Her phone buzzed with a call from Sarah. Stay safe, Sarah said. They're desperate, and desperate people are dangerous. Alicia's voice was steady. Let them come. I'm ready.